Hello and welcome to Breakthrough Conversations with Coach Pete. And I'm Gloria Lybecker. Really happy to see her today. And today we're going to explore assumptions. What are assumptions? Where do they come from? How do they impact our life? There's so many different ways we can look at these assumptions, but what comes up for you, Coach Pete? Just with that little bit of a lead in.
Yeah, well, good morning or good afternoon, depending what time it is for everybody. Um, yeah, assumptions. It's an interesting topic, interesting word, and I think we can explore it. Like, what are assumptions? What I think our lives are filled with assumptions. Now that I think of it,
Mm.
we're raised or socialized to think certain ways, and with those ways, we're raised and socialized. We make assumptions. That's how we form opinions, right? About people, about situations. So I think it's really interesting. What assumptions do we carry forward? And maybe we should define assumptions. What do assumptions mean to you? What does assumption mean to you?
Well, when I make an assumption, it's because I believe I already know something about something. And when I have assumptions about something, then I'm not really honestly open and curious and interested in it in the same way when I think I already know. Because when we think we already know, we kind of close ourselves off. And so they limit us. Assumptions are very limiting.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm sure it's a derivative of the word assume, right? I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure. And
Right.
when we assume things, we assume to know, like you just said,
Mhm.
and that's important. We have to have assumptions. We have to kind of gather our understanding of the world, even when we're little kids, to make decisions. But when we get locked into those assumptions
Mhm.
and closed off to some other view or other way of looking at things, that's where we can run into trouble. So we can assume things, we can have assumptions about things that helps us decide what's safe, what isn't safe, what we want to do, what we don't want to do at any given moment. At the same time, we should be open to new ideas and changing those assumptions,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so we can grow.
Yeah. Well, assumptions can be pretty handy. I don't have to figure out what a doorknob is over and over and over again. I mean, so, and so we can start to recognize the patterns. For me, what's really key is to develop the capacity to at least be honest with myself and aware when I'm choosing to make an assumption. I really want to be able to be aware of what is operating me rather than just going on the autopilot. Um, and so I don't know, it's like we don't have to always be assuming things. I think it's our human nature. And that's a pattern that's gone on for generations. And yet it doesn't have to continue to be that way. When I can actually take the time to be present, I can be in choice, and then I can recognize those things. I can do something different. And I'm not making it right or wrong, good or bad, just to be really honest with ourselves about what we are doing. Because there's constantly times I find out, oh my gosh, I was just making an assumption. I didn't even know I was, because it's so automatic in different areas of my life. But the more that I practice this way of being with myself, not making myself wrong, but just recognizing new levels of patterns that just were mysteriously running themselves.
Yeah, so like you said, we need to assume, we need the assumptions to really navigate the world. But at the
Survive.
same time, we may want to practice being aware of those assumptions, being aware of kind of the default decisions, autopilot decisions that we're making, just so we can do a check-in. Is that appropriate right now? Like even that simple analogy or metaphor that you mentioned about the doorknob. Sure, the doorknob is something you turn to walk in, but maybe I should be aware, okay, what's on the other side of that when I open it? Just not to automatically rush through, you know? That's a simple way of putting it, but just be aware and be able to adjust those assumptions. And I think that that's a good way to move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It actually, lets us put on our explorer glasses and we can start. There are some doorknobs that I have to ponder for a while to figure out how to open them, and that's okay.
That's right. That's okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, this was a fascinating exploration. I enjoyed it very much. I look forward to our next conversation.
Me too. Me too. Thanks, Gloria.